Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather next week to 10 days. In today's video, we'll have a look at GFS B2 for the rest of the month as well. That'll take us through to the end of September for the next month. And we'll start off by having a look at the Central England temperature from Hadley. So, quite a lot to cram in to today's bit of a bumper video. Before I get on with that, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all the pages. Have a browse through widgets. If there's any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You'll be able to go off and read the article. And because you're going from Gad's Office to where that article is, we will get a review on the what you are doing, the fact that you are clicking. Right, thanks very much for doing that. I'm trying to rattle through because we've got a lot to cram in for today's video. So we're going to start off with Central England temperature from Hadley, just see where we are as we approach the end of August. So currently for August we stand at 17.1, which is an anomaly of 1.3 degrees above average. I say that's provisional up to yesterday, 29th of August. This follows on from June, which of course comes out at 15.2, and normally around a degree above average, and July, which came out at 16.9. Again, is an anomaly of around a degree above average. I think this August number will probably be corrected down ever so slightly. So it's not impossible we won't finish up, or we will finish up very similar to July. Actually, we could finish up, if you take about 0.2 degrees off that, we could well finish up at around 16.9. So July and August could come out with the same number, quite interestingly. In any case, it's going to be around a degree above average, and all three summer months have come out warmer than average. That includes 4 months if you go back to May as well. So really quite a good summer, actually. There is a view, seems to be a bit of a view with some people that it's been a fairly poorish summer. And I think that's true for the north and west. So for Scotland, Northern Ireland, particularly northwestern England, not been as bad in the eastern part of Northern England, I don't think, but northwestern England and potentially North Wales as well. Been really quite a poor summer there, with temperatures cool and quite a lot of cloud, quite a lot of rain. But as you come further south and east, actually it's got better and better the further south and east you go. So through the Midlands, where central temperature is recorded, of course, it's been a good summer, been a warm summer. We wouldn't say it's been a classic summer, but certainly is significantly warmer than average summer, and a lot of dry weather during July and August as well. And further southeast of that, it's actually been a very, very good summer. As you come down into East Anglia, southeastern parts of England, it's been a very dry and quite a hot summer actually down there. So it has been quite a big northwest to southeast discrepancy this summer, and certainly in the southeast it's been a very good summer compared to what we can have in this country. I'm not sure it ever be remembered as a classic, not 76, not 95, not 2003, but it's been a good summer in the southeast. Well, we've got a lot of uncertainty as we go through the next week to 10 days between the GFS and the ECM. So we're going to have a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts. We've got the ECM here on the top, and the GFS is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80 miles feet is an area in atmosphere high pressure, low pressure, being moved around by the jet stream running above. Red extrapolates to low pressure, and red extrapolates to high pressure. Now, the ECM looks very unsettling. You can see what's going on there. The blue colours are in across the UK, the red colours are away to the south and the west. The tight lines indicate the jet stream coming right through the country like that. That looks really very unsettled. It looks autumnal, it looks wet and windy, and really quite cool as well, actually, because the air is coming down from Greenland between the high pressure out in the central Atlantic and the low pressure that's anchored close to the UK. However, look at this, the GFS is very, very different. Instead of having low pressure or a trough of low pressure over country, you've actually got a ridge sitting around into the east and northeast, with the trough centered around Greenland and Iceland. And that means that the jet stream does that. It's going to the north of the country, and in between, of course, we're bringing in an easterly, southeasterly flow. So that's much, much warmer as we go through the first week to 10 days of September. It's also significantly drier as well. So Indian summer from the GFS, proper autumnal conditions from the ECM this morning. GFS temperature precipitation ensembles next 2 weeks are looking like this. The red line is a 30-year temperature average, and generally it's just significantly above average. However, there is quite a lot of scatter within that, so there's some very, very warm, if not really hot members for the time of year of the GFS ensemble. Equally, there are some members that are on the coolish side, nothing desperately cold or very cool showing up, but certainly a little bit cooler than average with 1 or 2 of those ensemble members. So actually, this signal, it does look quite a strong signal to be warmer than average really through to middle part of September, which is just here. That is masking quite a lot of variation from each ensemble member. In terms of precipitation, loads of dry weather coming up for the rest of this week. The weekend looks more unsettled. We've got some rainfall spikes there, and then it looks like going drier as we go through into next week. Overall, a fairly dry looking ensemble, you have to say, from the GFS this morning. Temperature anomalies from the 30th of August to the 7th of September, coming out warmer than average, quite obviously. And from the 30th of August to the 7th of September with precipitation anomalies, they're coming out more or less drier than average. There is a bit of a wetter zone across northern England, but generally, I would say most of the country, majority of the country, looks drier than average. So let's just have a look at the generic charts. This is the GFS for Saturday. It does look more unsettled over the weekend. So I've got low pressure coming in from the north and west on Saturday, bringing rain probably to Scotland and Northern Ireland through Saturday, and then that could actually move south into England and Wales overnight, Saturday into Sunday, possibly giving some quite wet weather even to the south. By Sunday, that low pressure is out into the North Sea in quite a cool northwesterly wind then, so it will be a bit cooler on Sunday, but probably drier as high pressure begins to extend up from the Azores. This is the remains of ex-Hurricane Gaston, by the way, and it looks like this is going to promote the ridge over. So this is still what's causing the confusion, I think, between the GFS and the ECM WF. That's remains of Gaston on Sunday. Where is it on Monday? There it is, to the south of Greenland and Iceland, just there. And it's stalling, and as it does so, on its eastern side, it's building up this ridge. So that's the difference you'll see in a moment. That's the difference between the GFS and the ECM. The flow is going like that, and then down like that, and in between we get this build of pressure, and that sets us up then for quite a prolonged spell of dry weather by the look of it. So we go through to Tuesday, a week today, and high pressure is firmly building across the country. Gaston, or remains of Gaston, dying a death towards the south of Greenland. And then we get through into Wednesday, middle of next week, then the high pressure's firmly in. Look at that, it's built over Scandinavia, winds blowing from the east, and that looks very dry, probably quite warm as well. And these dry conditions then take us through to the second half of next week, albeit pressure starts to weaken a little bit. So maybe turn a little bit more showery into the second half of next week, but it still looks quite warm with the flow generally from the south or the southeast. Now, this is the ECM. We know it's already a much more unsettled run. So this is the remains of Gaston just here with the ECM. Let's see what happens. Well, over the weekend, we're still bringing in this westerly, so it looks showery on Saturday. There's a trough coming through Saturday into Sunday, probably bring some rain even down into the south of the country overnight Saturday into Sunday. That's remains of Gaston there being absorbed into this main area of low pressure in the central part of the Atlantic. So what happens as we go through into Monday is that the low pressure remains of Gaston still in a very similar position just there. Low pressure in the North Sea, but we're not getting quite the build of pressure from the southwest that the GFS wants to set up. So actually the remains of Gaston as an area of low pressure, nothing overly dramatic, but an area of low pressure just moves through the country on Tuesday, rather than the low pressure stalling here and promoting the ridge just here. And that keeps us much more unsettled. Let's go through to the middle of next week, where GFS has high pressure dominating over and to the east of the country. The ECM replaces it with an area of low pressure. That looks very unsettled. The winds are from the northwest, so it's cool, windy and showery into the middle of next week. And those conditions take us through into the end of next week. This is day 10, Friday 9th of September. Looks very unsettled, really cool and showery and quite windy conditions too. So quite obviously a very clear and profound split there between GFS and the ECM. My suspicion is that the GFS perhaps has this right and will have more high pressure through the course of next week. That's just my hunch about where this is going to go. We'll wait and see. Finally, have a look at the CFSB2 for the next month. So these are the 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into weekly pairs. The first week period takes us from the 30th of August through to 5th of September. Lots of high pressure to the south and to the east of the country, low pressure to the north and west, jet stream generally a bit to the north, so that looks quite nice through the coming week. Week 2, it's siding with the GFS here. It's a very similar model, of course, so it's siding with the GFS in that we have above average heights generally close to the country, low pressure below average heights more or less across Greenland and Iceland, but jet stream going to the northwest as well, so that looks quite dry and warm. Going a bit more instead of the middle part of September, this is the 13th through to the 19th of September, with low pressure closer and the ridge beginning to decline into Central Europe. The flow then is doing something like that. Still looks quite warm, I would think, but it is more unsettled, particularly in the north and the west. And then week 4, 20th through to 26th of September, again looks quite unsettled, low pressure to the north and west, high pressure across Central Europe, and the flow is doing something like that. Still looks quite warm, but certainly more rain, particularly in the north and in the west as well. Remember, this is a period throughout September where we're going to be impacted by the track of hurricanes, so it's always very difficult to pin down the exact detail, and that's highlighted very well by the GFS and the ECM for next week. Will it be high pressure as the GFS wants? Will it be low pressure as the ECM wants? We will find out very shortly. Right, tonight's 5-day forecast we'll also have a look at the Beijing Climate Centre for next month as well. That's all for now then, and thanks for watching.